everybody, welcome back to another episode of What's Audrey Making. And if it's your first time here, I'm Audrey and I'm always making something. And guess what we're making today? It's all about Christmas now. It's all about Christmas. So I've been super into these copper bells that have been on Pottery Barn's website. I have seen a lot of dupes of these bells, big, small, whatever. The thing that drew me to the ones from Pottery Barn the most was how big they were. I wanted some that were really large. A lot of the large ones are very expensive. And for seasonal items, sometimes I just don't want to spend that much, along with buying gifts for people and all kind of stuff like that. So I decided that I was going to make them, and I wanted to make them a little bit different. The ones that are out there now do look really aged and they're pretty rustic, but I just wanted something that looked really like distressed. And the idea that I came up with was to make them out of paper mache. I was trying to think of something that would last from year to year and something that would hold up really well, and paper mache was the thing. So I went on Amazon and I found a 4-pound bag of paper mache, and I'll go ahead and link it below so that you guys can get your hands on some. The possibilities are endless with what you can make with this paper mache. So we're gonna make the bells. We're gonna make the bells. And I'm gonna show you guys how I did it. They turned out amazing. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that bell so that you're notified every time I release a video. And if you're not already following me over on Instagram, go ahead and do that as well. Some things I post on there that you won't see on YouTube and vice versa. Guys, let's just go ahead and get into it because I'm excited as usual. I'm always excited. Everything about making things excites me. And that's why you're here, right? Because you're excited too. All right, guys, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. This is a good one, you guys. This is good. All right, guys, so I'm using this picture from Dollar Tree and a couple other bottles that I found to make the form of the bell. I'm going to put them all upside down and then go from there. Here's the final fling before the ring that my husband was like, where's this cup from? It's just for the bell form. These sponges I also got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using those to make the inside dinger portion of the bell. And I'm going to be using these carving tools for the clay to kind of mold it the way that I feel it needs to be. And here's the paper mache that I got from Amazon, and I'll be linking it below. Now I'm getting started with aluminum foil to start out with. I'm going to put it on top of the cup, well, on the bottom of the cup, to kind of form the dome portion of the bell. From there, I'm going to go ahead and get some duct tape, and I'm going to put it over the foil so that it can create this mold that I'm going for. Here I'm going in with another piece of tape because I felt like there was kind of an indent where the top and the cup actually met, so I'm filling that out. And then next I'm going to go over it with some saran wrap, and I'm using this so that when I start applying the paper mache that it won't stick to the cup, and I'll be able to slide it off of the form once it's dry. I definitely suggest making sure that the saran wrap is as tight as it can possibly be before putting tape around to secure it, because if it's too loose, that's not going to be helpful at all when you're adding the paper mache. It's not going to stick very well. So here's what the paper mache looks like straight out of the bag, and it's pretty dusty, guys. So you're going to add water from here. I can't remember the exact water to paper mache ratio that it's supposed to be. The directions will be included inside of the bag, but you're going to pretty much mix it up until it's kind of like a clay or putty consistency, I guess you would call it. Just something that has some substance. And what I'm doing here is kneading it to get some of the bumps out of it that you see in that original bell that I've already done back there. So the next one's going to be a little bit smoother. So we're adding our paper mache mixture, and it's pretty sticky, but you kind of you'll get the hang of it once you start using it. But I'm just applying it to the mold that I made and patting it on. I'm taking it off and kind of like wiping it onto the form so it sticks a little bit, and just blending it in with the rest of the paper mache that's already there. One of the tips that I have for you guys is when you're adding the new pieces of paper mache, that you kind of wipe in an upward motion so that it gets it to blend with the rest of the paper mache that's already on the form. So here I'm going to be using that flat wood carving tool, and I'm going to go around the base of what is going to be the bell to kind of straighten it out. Here I'm just going back over the bell and smoothing things out so that I can get more of a smooth finish, and just wiping along the bottom of it. So now I'm creating the hanger portion of the bell. I'm using a sturdy piece of paper and I cut it into a strip. I'm going to place it on top of the bell just to see what size it needs to be, and then I'm going to take that and tape it into a loop. The paper that I used was a paint sample paper, and I just, cut it into a strip, and this is what it looks like. I thought I was recording, guys. I wasn't, sorry. But here's what happened. I put that piece of paper, plopped it right on top of the bell, and then from there, I just took paper mache and I just added it to the paper and started swiping it onto the paper like this with the wood carving tool. And that's pretty much it. It's nothing too special that happened. I didn't glue it or anything. It simply just stuck to it, and then I just started adding more paper mache. Now for the inside of the hanger, I am just taking small pieces of the paper mache mixture. I'm putting it on the wood carving tool, and I'm just pushing it and pressing it onto the inside portion of the hanger to make sure that I get full coverage. So after examining the bell, I saw that there were some seams between the connection of the hanger and the bell. So I just went ahead and sealed those up with more paper mache and used a wiping motion with this curved tool to seal up the seams. And I smoothed the inside of the hanger with my finger. As my bell started to set up, I noticed that there were some little dips on the bigger bell that I wanted to fill in. So I used a cup of water, smoothed it over, and it helps to clearly see where those dips are. From there, I used more paper mache and I just plugged it in and smoothed it over, and it filled it in pretty well. So here's the bell dry, and I just spun it slowly to get it off of the form, and it was pretty easy. The drying time honestly did take a while. It was about 2 to 3 days for it to dry, guys, but I'd say it was worth it. So I'm gonna take some sandpaper and sand off the little sharp edges at the bottom, and then I'm gonna go in with some brown paint. And I'm using this because of the uneven nature of the paper mache, which I love. But once I add the gold to it, I don't want the white to show through for, the areas that the gold misses because of the unevenness. So I felt like brown would add a good contrast versus this white peeking through. So for the gold, I'm going to be using Rub and Buff in the color Antique Gold. I love this stuff. It is so easy to use, and a little goes a long way. I mean, like, seriously, a little goes a long way. So I'm just adding it to the sponge, and just look how it glides on. It's so beautiful, and it creates like a real life, like antique kind of vibe. This stuff is amazing. I want to buy it in every color. Just look at it. So I decided to cut some nautical rope and tie the bells to each end. I'm going to show you how to tie the knot. It's a very specific knot. I wanted it to be something that was aesthetically pleasing. I don't know what this knot is called, but hey, this is YouTube and you are more than welcome to pause, rewind, pause, rewind again, to see how I tied this knot. I hope that you guys can really tell how I'm doing this. Yeah, I hope this helps. Now that I tightened the knot as much as it needed to be, I'm just going to go ahead and clip off the little tail that was left there. And I think this really turned out pretty good. Next, I held up the bells and decided how I wanted them to hang in like a staggered fashion. So in the middle of that rope, I just went ahead and did a slip knot to keep them in that staggered height, and I made a loop so that I can hang it. So next I'm going to be making the bells clapper, and yes, I googled the name. I'm using the handle from this sponge as well as some of these eyelet screw hooks that I got from Amazon. I'm going to be making a pilot hole in the handle using my seam ripper, and then I'm going to go ahead and screw the hooks in. Next, I'm going to be using some plain black acrylic paint, and I'm going to water it down and mix it up really well. I'm going to be using this as a stain for the clappers, so I'm just going to rub it on really generously, and then I'm going to wipe it off with a paper towel. Next, I'm going to be attaching the clappers using sewing thread, and I use sewing thread because it's going to give the clappers the most mobility to dangle around. So then I'm just going to go ahead and loop it through and tie a knot at the end. So you guys, we're on the last step. We're going to go ahead and attach the string of the clapper to the body of the bell, and we'll be done. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the clapper in there at whatever level I feel like I want it to hang out. Then I went ahead and used my hot glue gun, and it didn't reach all the way to the bottom of that bell, but I just let it drip. Then just find whatever you can that's long enough to push the thread into that gloop of glue. Once it dries, here we go. This is what it looks like. And I decided to put it on my blanket ladder. It turned out so good, you guys. I love these bells. Oh man, like I love these. You guys comment below and let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.